All right, I'm here at Primal Performance right now, just talking about a little bit of stuff with regards to shoulder glide, which is a subject that I've talked about before, but a lot of people have trouble understanding what the idea of shoulder glide is and how it can negatively affect somebody's performance or somebody's development when it comes to training, especially with regards to the upper back. So, shoulder glide, especially anterior shoulder glide, is what happens when the ball and socket joint of the humerus doesn't stay properly nested through the entire range of motion of the movement. So the humerus is your upper arm that attaches and that connects into the socket, which is your glenoid fossa, which creates your shoulder capsule or your shoulder girdle. Okay, so that junction right there, it's very important that in order for full range of motion and circumduction and so on, that it stays right in the center of that socket the entire time. It doesn't shift in different places. Now, if we're under too much load, or if we pull with poor technique or so on, then shoulder glide could happen where you're doing a movement and then it slides out of position. Whether it happens through an overhead pull, or whether it happens through a bench press at the bottom position, or some kind of a row at the bottom position, where that forward migration starts to happen. So with a barbell, it might look like this. You're holding the weight, and then you pull through here. Or you might even start out well, but then it slides out of position like that. All of a sudden, other things like the traps and the arms start to kick in a little bit more in order to create that full range of motion. Now, guys with longer arms, they could really speak to this a whole lot too. And what I have to say to those people is, if you have a smaller torso or you don't have too much trunk volume and you have long arms to boot, well, then the better thing for you to do is stop a couple of inches shy so that you can maintain a full back contraction and you don't escape the range or the available contractile strength that you have in order to just use a tactile endpoint. And that right there is the most important thing to think about with regards to when you train pulling exercises, is what your endpoint is. We're often told that in order to complete a pull-up, you have to have your sternum touch the bar, or that when you do a row, you have to have the bar contact your rib cage, or when you do a bent over row, that it comes up right to the body. Well, if you have anthropometry or leverages that don't really support that without a technical change or without a breakdown in your technique like that shoulder glide, you're off to a bad start. So instead, it might be better if you don't have a big chest or a big rib cage or so on to stop a little bit shy of that full flexion in order for you to have a better quality lift. So instead of going all the way to here with a good form, because you might slip out of place, you might want to stop somewhere around here. So that way, you have no choice but to maintain that contraction and not slip into a shoulder glide position. Now, the same thing applies to a bench press. If you can imagine the bars right here, instead of going all the way down, even if you have a good setup, your long arms might prevent you from actually being able to do that without a slip happening. So instead, stay set. You might stop a couple of inches shy. Using an exercise like a pin press or a board press can really help with that because it forces you to stop shy. Also, going onto the floor and doing a floor press will also block your elbows from going too far down. So if you struggle with shoulder glide, you have shoulder discomfort and pain while you're doing a press pattern, take a look at your bottom end ranges when it comes to presses, and take a look at your ending ranges when it talks about rows, when you're thinking about rows and pull-ups and other exercises like that for your back. And just protect your shoulder from shoulder glide and doing the right thing by stopping that range of motion a couple of inches shy, because that might be the proper range of motion for you. And that's it.